Halloween is a week away, and Thanksgiving and Christmas are quickly following suit. Don't let the holidays pass you by without taking the time for traditions. My next guest says traditions build internal security in families, and it's the grounding grandkids need in this sometimes shaky world. Our leading Nanahood contributor, Mary Jo Bell, joins me with tradition ideas for Nana. Hi, Mary Jo, how are you?
Hi, guys. I'm fine. Courtney, how are you guys doing?
So good. We're excited to have you here. I am all about traditions, and so many in my house have to do with food and traveling. I would love to know more about, how traditions build that internal security in families and what that really means.
I'd love to talk about it. First, I just want to tell you I'm traveling, but I wouldn't miss this chance to be with you. So I'm talking to you from a hotel. But
Oh, thank you.
I love you guys. I just want to mention that traditions are a very favorite thing of mine. I wrote a whole chapter about them in my book, The Pursuit of Happiness, because I love them so much. We could talk for a couple hours, but basically they build internal security because they foster stability and family anchoring at the deepest possible level. You're right. They give kids something to hold on to that's secure and steady in a world that's sometimes shaky. It gives them a feeling of belonging to a family team. They belong, and we crave belonging. We as humans are hardwired for belonging. I have a daughter who told me when she was in middle school, Mom, there are kids that are I feel like they're just desperate to fit in, but I can't figure out why I don't feel desperate. And then she said, but I think I know. And I said, why? She said, I think it's because I belong in my family. And that's what we want, right? That's what we want. We want to feel like we belong in our families. And speaking of belonging, I just want to mention that you grandparents belong to a group of 70 million members just in the United States of grandparents. We are on the rise. Our numbers have gone up 24% since 2001. We are a really successful startup. And if you consider all adults over the age of 30, 1 out of every 3 fits the grandparent demographic.
Wow.
So we're a massive force and a massive force for good and bringing traditions and love and joy to our grandparents, our grandchildren.
Yes, and we need to keep those traditions alive from generation to generation. And so it does. It starts with our nanas and our grandmas. And you have 4 types of traditions we can model, plus specific examples if nanas are needing some more inspiration. So let's talk about the tradition of gratitude is one of yours.
Gratitude, right. So we could talk about a lot of things, but one we've thought about is the pumpkin of gratitude, right? You've seen it beautifully done on Pinterest. It's a very simple, large pumpkin with words written around the edges, the circumference, about things you're grateful for. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be messy. And I like the idea of having grandchildren just write it themselves, write their own words of gratitude on that pumpkin. You can take a picture of that and pop it into something we're going to talk about in just a minute, or into your Nana journal, which we'll talk about in a future segment.
Yeah, I love that. Last year we did a piece of paper, a big poster board on our wall. So every morning when the kids kind of went off to school, we just had them write something they were grateful for. The pumpkin is a really cute, kind of fun way to even just put a centerpiece at your table and be talking about it over dinner time too. I love that.
Love that, Courtney. And I love the poster too. That's even simpler. I love that. That's a great idea.
All right, your next one is a tradition of connection. What do you mean by that?
So parents need a lot of help. Nanas, are we listening? And you know this too, grandpas. They are so busy, and they're especially busy during the holiday season, most likely. So how can we help them sort of gear up like a pep rally before this whole season begins? We can get out of town. We can take some daughters and daughters-in-law and grandpas, you can do this with your sons and son-in-laws, and just get out of town and have a cozy dinner, maybe even an overnight. We did that recently. Just laugh and chat and bond. And that closeness that we engender in those settings will just spill out over our families and bless them. It'll just lift them.
Yeah, Mary Jo, my son finally got to take his first trip with my dad, just the 2 of them. And he came back one of the best trips. And it was just so fun to hear all the fun memories that they made together while they were traveling to this golf tournament. They just had the best time. And my dad just was like, when can we do that again? And my son loved it. And he's now a teenager and just had the best time.
That is so sweet. He'll remember that his whole life, right? He'll remember his grandpa in those moments.
That's a really fun one. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about memories and the tradition of memories.
Okay, so let me give you the image while we start this of a sports banquet. Most of us have seen one of those, and you go in and they do the little video slideshow and they add the music and it's kind of touching and let's do that on a family level. So right now I need all of my relatives to scoot out of the room while I tell you about this because it's a surprise. What I'm going to do, and I've already started, is I've taken these photos that we nanas are snapping all throughout the years, and I'm popping them into a video content creator called Vimeo. I have no affiliation with Vimeo, but I use it because it's so easy, Vimeo, and you can add music to it. And what I'm going to do is present this on New Year's Eve, not Christmas Eve for me, just because we have the nativity program and it's really packed. But on New Year's Eve, we can play this with the right touching music, all of these slideshows of little children growing up in the last couple of years. And then we pass around the tissues and have the lights down and we make this beautiful memory out of memories.
I love that. That is a great idea. And I love the video instead of maybe a picture book, which we're used to, but being able to sit and watch it together on video with music, just kind of all those senses being hit at once is probably a great way to really remember that as well. Yeah. Okay. So one more, the tradition of talents. And I'm very curious about this one.
Oh, this one I love because the charm is in the imperfection, Courtney. You can be so imperfect with this and it's even more charming. So I'm just gathering up. I've already gathered some young grandchildren and we are just learning some things together for a little show on Christmas Eve that we can present as Nana and grandchildren. So we're learning a little Christmas song that's really simple and we could add a few more verses. If you have older grandchildren, that could be fun. We're learning a little Christmas related scripture together. And then we're doing a very silly dance. I don't know if you remember this from Sesame Street. I'll dance myself to sleep, jammies. And I have these stuffed lambs and we're doing jammies and we're just going to dance around very imperfectly, but half of them won't know the words very well.
So cute.
We'll film it and we'll just have that as a fun memory. And then at the end, I'm going to do a little Nana party trick. I am working really hard on trying to memorize scriptures and I'm going to have the chapter and verse in a little glass jar and they can pull out a slip with the chapter and verse and then I will say that scripture and hopefully be a good example to them of that.
Mary Jo, that is so fun. I love all of these ideas. I know you have more because you even have some tips that we're running out of time for, but for tips for grandparents that live far away from their grandchildren. So where can we send our viewers to get those ideas from you?
Sure. Yes, we can add those to the show notes. It's maryjobell.com, and I'll have them in there too.
Oh, Mary Jo, you're so fun. Have a great time on your trip. Hope everything's going well.
Thank you so much. Bye, Courtney. Take care.